Well, I got an email from one of our academy students saying, I hope you can help me. My neighbor wants me to do a drawing of her dog. She gave me a photo to work from, but I'm having trouble with the dog's nose. Her head is sort of cocked to one side, and I'm making it way too long. Do you have any suggestions? Well, it's time for a drawing lesson. Well, your problem is foreshortening. Yeah, it's a long word for really a simple process, but most people will try to make it a whole lot more complicated than it really is. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to do. I think showing you an exercise rather than how to draw a dog's nose would be a better idea. This is not the photo. She didn't send me the photo, so I went on to Pixabay and found a photo that kind of matches her description. Hope it does the job. Now, what foreshortening means is getting the length from the front of something to the back of something when it's turned towards you. If it's something that has length to it and it's turned towards you in some way, that distance between where it ends and where it begins is going to change depending on lots of things. Depending on where you are, or depending on where the image is, depending on how the head is tilted. If the head is tilted up, it's going to do one thing. If the head is tilted to one side or another, it will do another. But the problem most people have when they're drawing is to try to draw a thing. They'll try to draw the dog's nose, and that's all they think about, getting the dog's nose right. You can't get the dog's nose right. Well, you're spinning your tires when you're doing that. You got to switch your image, switch your thoughts from not what the dog's nose is, but to what the edge is doing. How are the edges tilting, and how long are they? In other words, you're going to switch your attention to the edges that you see. And we could define an edge as just something that defines a shape, something that is the boundary of a shape. And sometimes edges are really easy to see, and sometimes they're a little tricky to see. So, for example, edge right here, that's a little tricky, but we could tell that the dog's nose ends right here, and this is where the face begins. So consider all this edge while you're doing a drawing. And so two things are necessary in order to get this right, in order to keep from getting the dog's nose too long or too short. Same thing applies when you're drawing roads, where you're drawing a road that's moving away from you, or a driveway that's moving away from you, a curving road that you're looking at. All of that requires you're switching your attention to the foreshortening, which involves the way the angle of an edge is tilting and how long or short it is. So I suggest, instead of, and I bet you, first of all, you draw the dog's face and you put the other stuff in. A lot of people will do that. I suggest you take a different approach. Try this exercise. Start with the area that is closest to you. And in this case, it's the dog's nose. You'll see this head is slightly tilted, looking in that direction. And then we look at where the viewer is. The viewer is the person, of course, who took the photograph. And the viewer is just a little bit above that nose. How do I know? Because you're seeing the nose tilt downward. So if the edge is tilting downward, most likely your eyes, your vantage point or your eye level is above it. That doesn't matter so much as what you see, though, your ability to see it. And so let's start right here then. If we start with the edges or the shapes of the edges that are closest to us, and we build it from there, you get then a sense of what you need to do. So let's just start here. Now what's happening right in here on the edge of the dog's nose, what's happening is it's a very short edge, this edge right here. You see when it changes, every time an edge changes direction, then you change direction. And so you take each segment of an edge one at a time in order to see the relationship between the distance of, say, here to here. So we start with that. If we start just with just with the edge of the nose there, we say that that edge is tilting slightly downward, like this. Let's see if I can make that line a little bit dark. My tendency is to draw lighter, and the camera doesn't always like my doing it. And then we have the edge on the side, and it's much shorter, and it's kind of tilting like that. You see that? Then this edge is turning and is moving in this direction. So instead of just quickly drawing the concept of nose, you get it more accurate, the nose you're looking at, if you just stop and check in which way it's going and how long is it. So the tilt there, so what happens there is we have just a little bit of a tilt that moves down like, wait a minute, if I get this down, moves down like this and curves just a little bit, and then we have another one that picks up right here. That's this one, and it's moving, you see, in this direction like that. So we'll move it in that direction like that, and then it doesn't hurt to stop and now look at the distance between here and here, and you see there right in the center that is also a tilt, and that is a little bit of an edge. That's what we might, I don't know if the part what the part of the dog's nose is called. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so we don't have to draw the whole thing now, we're just exploring edges. Okay, then we can see that the bottom of that is doing something like this. It's just moving in this direction right here. And by the way, it's a good idea to look at these things more in terms of the angle of the tilt, and if it's got a slight curve, then you can slightly curve it, but look at that angle of the tilt and try to get your edge moving or going in the direction of the angle. You see this angle does that like that, and so I would do that like that, and then it stops right there. I may have gone too far. I did go a little bit too far right there, and then you can see it comes down like that and joins this one, and that does something like this, like that. And now let's see, get this just a little bit, and now what we can do is we can begin to move and connect the other parts. So you can see now that you barely can see what's happening right there. That starts right here, this part right here of the edge of the mouth, the mouth starts right there. So you don't say mouth, but you just let your line move in the direction that you see that moving, and you stop where it stops. And then you can see it goes up right here now and connects. So we can do that. And then this one beside it comes down about the same distance. And what does it do? It tilts in this direction. So we can do that, tilt it in this direction, just like that. And then the bottom part of that then turns. And so here, instead of saying mouth, look at the direction of that line and where it ends. And that turns and goes up about right here. And so we can turn it and can go up just about there. And it's also a good idea, while you're doing this sort of thing, it's a good idea to allow your eyes to move back and forth between the two. In other words, when we're drawing this edge, we're looking here, we're letting our eye go back and forth. If you try just to memorize that and come over here and draw it, then that doesn't work. So to train yourself to look back and forth between the two. Then, also while you're drawing, begin to look at what we call relationships. That means how things are lining up across like this way and up and down this way. And so as if we look like here, for example, that mouth, where that mouth ends right there is almost aligning right in here. You see that, and so you see, okay, now I know I've got that in the right place, and then we draw the mouth and so on. So now you've got a good start towards being able to get that nose short enough. Right at the top there, right at that top edge, you can see that is, if you compare, let your eyes compare the length of this to this with this to this. And even if you need to, this is a good thing to do. You take your pencil, put the top of the pencil at the top of the nose area, and take your finger right here and put at the bottom of the nose area, and then just turn this around. You see that distance is just a little bit longer between here and here, about the same distance as this is. And you might say it's not either, it's longer. It's a lot longer than that. No, you know it's longer than that, but the way your eyes are seeing it is not longer than that. Our eyes see things foreshortened. And so what you would do then there is to get the tilt of that. You see which way is it tilted? It's going about like that, just about like that. Don't let your line go any further up than you need to go to get that tilt. And you continue in that direction. Now if you continue in that direction and with that attitude, you will get a drawing of the nose of the dog, and it will be it will be sitting in the right direction. It will look right. The first time you do these kinds of studies, it might be tricky. You might feel a little awkward. But if you'll just take it easy and allow yourself to look at just which way is it going and how far is it going, which way is it going and how far is it going, which way is it going and how far is it going, and you compare, visually compare as you go. Now, a little bit of a hint for you. If you hold your pencil tight like this, and you put your hand tight on the paper like that, and you're trying to do that with your fingers like this, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be tight. The edge is going to be hard, too dark, and it may go in the wrong direction. But if you learn to do this, this is a gestural type study. A gesture is a movement. And a lot of people call gesture drawing just limited to figures. That's wrong. There are gestures in everything we look at. The movement, the edges always move. Every edge of everything you see always moves, and it moves in a direction. And you detect what that direction is and how far it's moving. And the other thing is that you can expect is either going to have a curve to it, it's going to be straight. Those are the only two ways it can change in terms of how it's moving. It can move in a curve, or it can move straight, or it can move in a combination of curves and straights. And so the other thing is just you can look for that. Is it straight? Does it have a curve? What is the tilt? In which direction is it tilted, and where's it going? Now the other thing is you can actually feel that with your own hand, and once you can feel it with the movement of your arm, you can draw it. All you have to do there, and this is not a bad idea, I have a little exercise called phantom drawing, and that simply means that you are phantoming. In other words, you're drawing in the air, beginning on top of the image, where you allow your pencil or even just your finger. You can do this in a doctor's office while you're waiting for an appointment. You can just use your finger and just hover your finger above that image and feel, in allowing your arm to move, feel the direction it's moving in and how far it's moving, and then come over here and make that same line. Make that, whatever you feel there, let's do it this way, whatever you feel there, moving that way. If you don't hesitate, you can do that same thing right there. So it's just this is an exercise that if you practice it and you don't try, if you're trying to make it look right, you'll spin your tires because you'll be looking at the wrong thing. Don't even try to make it look right. Just discover which way is it tilted, how far is it going. Does it have a slight curve or is it straight? That's all you have to think about, and then where does that belong, how does it connect with everything else. I think if you will take yourself through that pace and practice that as just a little exercise. This is the kind of thing you can do almost anywhere, especially the little phantom drawing part, but it actually will begin to make you feel joyful about drawing, because you will feel more like you're discovering what's there than you're trying to copy something, and that's a big difference. Be sure review all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianeMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.